How do you feel about abandoned places? Are they fascinating or eerie? Do they bring you peace, or do you feel like someone's watching you? Perhaps there's an unsettling feeling that accompanies them. Abandoned locations can evoke all kinds of emotions in people. But one thing is for sure, they have stories to tell. And today, we're going to uncover some of the tales behind this abandoned lighthouse. Welcome back. I'm here. Today, we're going to discuss the mystery of a Jument Lighthouse. Let's get started. The Meuse Lighthouse stands tall and proud overlooking the ocean. It has been the silent guardian of ships navigating the treacherous waters off the coast of France for centuries. But it's not just its historical significance that makes the Meuse Lighthouse so captivating. It's also the enigmatic aura that surrounds it, an enigma that has puzzled locals and visitors alike for years. It all started with the mysterious disappearance of two fishermen named Billy and E. They were seasoned sailors who knew these waters like the back of their hands. On that fateful day, they set sail from Granville aboard their vessel named L'Étoile du Matin. Their families waved goodbye as they dropped anchor, eager to be back home before the evening. But the men were never seen again. The only clue to their whereabouts was the cryptic message scrawled on a piece of paper found in the boat. The message simply read, "Beware the tower," leaving everyone scratching their heads wondering what exactly did they mean by that. Was it a warning or a last-minute plea for help? This cryptic note sent shockwaves through the community. What had happened to the two fishermen? Had they encountered a sudden storm, or perhaps fallen victim to the notorious smugglers who once plagued these waters? Or could there be something more sinister lurking beneath the surface? Theories abounded, but concrete answers remained elusive. As the investigation continued, a strange pattern began to emerge. Over the years, several fishermen had met their demise around the tower, each vanishing without a trace. The local Coast Guard grew increasingly concerned, and rumors of the Mussel Tower being cursed began to spread. Fear-stricken sailors spoke of an eerie green light emanating from the tower at night, a ghostly apparition that seemed to lure unsuspecting ships towards their doom. These chilling accounts painted a haunting picture of the tower's malevolent presence. Could there be something supernatural at play here? Some evil entity feeding on the misery of those unfortunate enough to cross its path? Then there were the stories of smugglers. These daring outlaws had long used the tower as their base of operations, hiding their contraband under its protective gaze. Some whispered that the tower itself was haunted by the ghosts of smugglers past, their spirits seeking revenge on anyone who dared disturb their eternal rest. It was as if the tower itself had a dark, twisted history that refused to stay buried. Amidst this maelstrom of theories and superstitions, a young journalist named Antoine Legrand felt compelled to investigate. Armed with his wit and determination, he set out to unravel the truth behind the Mussel Tower's haunting reputation. His journey took him through dusty archives and dimly lit pubs where he uncovered tales that had been passed down through generations. He spoke with weathered old salts, whose eyes held the secrets of the sea, and whose stories wove a tapestry of intrigue and danger. As he pieced together the fragmented narratives, a clearer picture of the tower's sinister past began to emerge. One such tale told of a brutal battle that had taken place near the tower many years ago. Two rival gangs of smugglers had clashed in a violent confrontation, leaving several men dead and buried in the sand. Another story spoke of a tragic love affair between a young woman living in the shadow of the tower and a sailor who plied his trade on the treacherous seas. When the sailor was lost at sea, the heartbroken woman threw herself into the waves, never to be seen again. Each story added another layer of complexity to the mystery, making the tower seem less like a mere structure and more like a character in a macabre play. But it wasn't just the human element that made the tower so intriguing. The natural environment surrounding it was equally fascinating. The rocky coastline was notorious for its unpredictable nature, with hidden reefs and sudden storms that could catch even the most experienced sailors off guard. Then there were the tales of mythical creatures said to inhabit these waters, from colossal squid to mythical sea monsters that preyed on unwary sailors. As Antoine delved deeper into his research, he realized that the Mussel Tower had stood witness to both the best and worst of humanity and the unforgiving power of nature. It was a place where dreams had been born and shattered, where lives had been lost, and where the veil between the living and the dead seemed paper-thin. Yet despite all the darkness that had unfolded beneath its watchful gaze, there was something inexplicably alluring about the Mussel Tower. Perhaps it was the challenge of trying to understand its secrets that drew people in, or maybe it was the hope of finding answers to questions that had plagued humanity since the dawn of time. Whatever the reason, the Mussel Tower had captured the imagination of those who knew its story, and would continue to do so for generations to come. For now, though, it was up to Antoine to solve the mystery of the missing fishermen. With the help of his newfound knowledge and a little bit of luck, he might just be able to find the truth behind the haunting tale of the muscle tower and bring closure to those who had lost their loved ones in its shadowy embrace. Meanwhile, at the stroke of midnight, the tower's haunting green light flickered to life, casting an eerie glow over the churning waters below. Its silent beams sliced through the darkness, a lonely sentinel keeping watch over the restless souls trapped within its grasp. As Antoine stood mesmerized by the spectacle, he couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched, that unseen eyes were following his every move from the shadows. The wind howled around him, carrying with it the whispers of those lost at sea, and the haunting melody of a ship's lament. Driven by an insatiable curiosity and a deep sense of responsibility, Antoine decided to climb the tower and see for himself what secrets it held. As he ascended the winding stairs, each step echoed with the footsteps of those who had come before him. The air grew thick with anticipation, heavy with the weight of the tower's untold stories. Finally, he reached the topmost level and stepped out onto a platform that offered a breathtaking panoramic view of the coastline. But it was what he saw next that truly stole his breath away. There in the distance, barely discernible through the mist, was a small boat bobbing gently on the waves. It looked as though it were floating in midair, suspended between earth and sky. As Antoine watched, the boat seemed to grow larger, taking on a more solid form. To his astonishment, he saw two figures on board, their faces obscured by the shadows of their wide-brimmed hats. They waved frantically, their gestures desperate, their voices carried to him on the wind. "Help us!" they cried. "Save us from the tower." Their pleas were cut short as the boat suddenly lurched violently, plunging into the churning waters below. For a moment, everything went silent. The wind died down, the waves stilled, and the only sound that could be heard was the pounding of Antoine's own heart. Then, as quickly as it had disappeared, the boat reappeared, this time closer to the shore. And as it drew nearer, Antoine saw that the figures on board were no longer waving. Their arms hung limp at their sides, their bodies slumped forward as if in a deathly slumber. Terror gripped Antoine as he realized what he was witnessing. The two fishermen, Billy and Etienne, were dead. But it wasn't just their lifeless forms that chilled him to the bone. It was the vacant, soulless look in their eyes that seemed to stare back at him accusingly, as if they were somehow blaming him for their fate. Antoine stumbled back, his mind reeling from what he had just seen. The mystery of the Muscle Tower had deepened, and he knew that he had stumbled upon something truly sinister. With shaking hands, he raced down the winding stairs, desperate to escape the suffocating grip of fear that was closing in around him. As he fled, he could hear the taunting laughter of unseen entities echoing in his ears, their voices growing louder with each passing moment. Reaching the ground floor, he burst through the door and ran blindly into the darkness. The image of the lifeless fishermen seared into his memory as the first rays of dawn peeked over the horizon, casting their golden glow upon the restless sea. Antoine found himself on a secluded stretch of beach far from the menacing gaze of the Muscle Tower. Gasping for breath, he sank to his knees in the soft sand, his body trembling with the remnants of fear and exhaustion. Suddenly, a low, guttural voice echoed through the morning mist. "So, you have seen the specters of the sea, just as many have before you." Startled, Antoine turned to face the speaker, his heart pounding in his chest. Before him stood a wizened old man, his face etched with the lines of a life well lived, yet his eyes twinkled with an otherworldly wisdom. "Who are you?" Antoine whispered, his voice hoarse from terror and disuse. "I am the keeper of stories," the old man replied, his voice raspy yet strangely comforting. "And you, young one, are now bound to this place, forever haunted by the specters of the sea." The old man continued, his gaze fixed on the distant tower. "Only the purest of heart can hope to escape their clutches." Antoine felt a surge of anger mixed with despair. "What do you mean? How can I escape?" The old man sighed, his shoulders slumping slightly. "You cannot escape what you have seen, nor can you outrun the whispers of the damned. The specters of the sea will haunt your waking moments and plague your dreams. You are now forever cursed." Overcome with a mixture of fear and determination, Antoine vowed to break the curse. But first, he needed answers. What are the specters of the sea? Why do they torment me? The old man turned, his eyes blazing with an otherworldly light. They are the lost souls trapped between this world and the next, condemned to wander the earth in search of peace, yet they find none. They are drawn to the Muscle Tower, much like you were, seeking solace or perhaps vengeance. For within the tower's walls lies a dark secret, one that has the power to ensnare the unwary and corrupt even the purest of intentions. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, bathing the world in its warm embrace, Antoine knew he had a choice to make. Would he succumb to the haunting grip of the specters of the sea, allowing their whispers to drive him to madness? Or would he rise above, defying their cursed whispers and seeking to free himself from their clutch? Whichever path he chose, he knew that his life would never be the same again. The mystery of the Muscle Tower had become deeply intertwined with his own destiny, and the secrets it held would change him forever.